Hey, so I'm here to talk about testosterone replacement therapy, especially as a guy who competes and maybe other people who compete in sports, and there's tested, non-tested federations type thing, like powerlifting. So just wanted to kind of throw my 2 cents in what I've done, what I've kind of been through, why I've done it, what I've seen, those things. Hopefully it helps. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. And if I don't know or don't have any experience with that, I've got friends who are also on it. I am happy to reach out to and get their input, stuff like that. So, major disclaimer here. I'm not a doctor, man. I'm really not. And even if it was, you probably wouldn't want me as your doctor because I'd be terrible. So this is just, again, what I've been through, what I've seen, kind of what I felt going through the process, stuff like that, and how I see things. This is a conversation between your doctor, not some random internet bro, not some guy at the gym, not some stuff like that. This is a doctor-patient thing that's for you guys to work out. So what is testosterone replacement therapy? Skinny is if for whatever reason your body is broken and not pushing out enough testosterone to keep you physically and or mentally healthy as a grown adult dude. Replacement therapy is doing just that. Just like women will get estrogen so they can feel better. This is the same thing for men. Full disclaimer, I've got hypothyroid, Hashimoto's. So there have been some things that have shown a correlation, causation. I don't know. I'm not some sciencey type that dig that far in and understand what I'm reading. But I did find some stuff on there, because I did find that interesting, that there's, those two issues can be tied together. So I'm going to link down there a Mayo Clinic link that has some good information about, what to look for, possible risks, stuff like that. Out of the possible risks, probably two things I will cover is sleep apnea or worsening sleep apnea. I've already got sleep apnea. A large dude. When I went in, the sleep study doctor, or that was a consult after, he basically said as soon as a dude's neck kind of gets 18 inches or over, they can just expect to be on, CPAP. So I've been on there for a while. But if you're not, and all of a sudden, you find yourself waking up more in the night, it might be something to look at. Also, and I'm getting this blood test done here in the next couple weeks. I should get that done. Looking to get my red blood cells tested. Make sure I'm not overproducing, which creates a clot risk. So that is also coming up, something to always keep in mind. Again, that's why you work with a doctor, not the guy in the back alley, okay? Why did I make the jump? So with my thyroid treatment, just wasn't getting a whole lot better. I was continuing to putting on body fat. And to be totally fair, there were some solid bad decisions going on food-wise too. And I'll try and remember to cover that when I get to another part. I'd get a bump. I'd feel better for a little while, kind of tail off, get a bump, feel better for a little while, kind of tail off, rinse and repeat. About 6 years ago, doctor and I ran a blood test for testosterone. It was low, low 200s, which ironically, it was roughly about that again a little over a year ago when we did the blood test again. 6 years ago, I had some goals in a drug-tested federation I was competing in at the time, and I was really kind of attached to those, and I didn't know if I wanted to be attached to a needle for the rest of my life. Is it legal? Absolutely. I'm working through my doctor. But just the thought of, do I want to stick? I've got 3 kids. Almost said 4. Ooh, that'd be the worst. 3, and they're great. I don't want another one. And so cream or gels, just no, I'm not going to risk that, kind of contact. And I don't want to deal with it. The science behind the injections is solid. I'll stick with that. But again, so we ended up, kicking that can down the road. The doctor said, something to the effect of, let me see, I put this in my notes. Seems silly to not, do the replacement therapy and have worsening health just for a sport, but it's your choice. So there was that. So, kind of kick the can down the road. It got to the point where things were just getting bad for me. I was in a bad place mentally. My mental health was horrible. Impulse control, horrible. Eating was a huge comfort thing for me, and it was terrible. And I would have a lot of guilt, and I'd eat, and I'd feel guilty for that, and then I'd be like, screw it, I've already screwed it up today, so I'd eat more. It was horrible. It was a bad example of my parents, to my kids. And while not suicidal, I didn't feel attached, outside of the kids. Anything else, I didn't feel any attachment. And, not that I wanted to die, I just didn't want to live. And that probably sounds weird to some people, probably sounds over dramatic to some. It sounds kind of silly to me, but it's really the best way I can describe how I felt for about a decade. And it got progressively worse and worse and worse. And I hit a rock bottom, and I couldn't do it anymore. But I wasn't going to say goodbye to my kids. I wasn't going to, so I said, I've got to do something, and this is on me to fix. So I went to the doctor. We had that discussion. I was Googling around for information as well. And what's frustrating is so much of the information, especially I look around Sioux Falls, was, I would find all these results for a generic urologist, and then a ton of them for women's replacement therapy, for estrogen. Well, that doesn't help me, man. I don't need any more of that crap. So the doctor and I have a conversation. We get the blood test, barely over 200 again. Normals, like 4 to 1200 or something like that. So we get on therapy. What was interesting to me, and not the good kind of interesting, I would say, is you would think that when you can inject a pharmaceutical directly into your system, you're going to snap out. All of a sudden, everything's going to clear up. Things are going to be great. It's not how it was. I think I had a little bit of a placebo bump within the first couple weeks, but that quickly trailed off. I would say 8 to 10 months before I really started feeling consistently good. So if you make this decision, I just want to tell you, it's not going to be something just like, you turn a key and all of a sudden, I feel great. That's not how this works. So I also want to bring up that, just because maybe you're already strong, maybe you've got quite a bit of muscle, things like that. I hit a 744 equipped bench, single ply in USAPL, and I was tested. I've never been that guy. I'm not going to compete where I'm cheating and disrespecting other people. That's not me. So I hit that, and I was feeling like that, and I had those blood test results. So you can still build muscle. You can still get strong, even with low testosterone. I mean, that's just a man's genetics. Does test help? absolutely. Who knows where I would have hit by now had I jumped on the bandwagon, 6 years ago, is what it is. So I did pretty good as a, quote unquote drug-free, drug tested lifter. But mentally I was a mess. I didn't feel good. I was tentative with big weights, and I can tell you there was a giant shift between even my 744 or 727 pre testosterone replacement versus my 804. After I'd been on TRT for 6-7 months, the mentality was different, and it probably has made the biggest difference in my lifting. And I felt good, and I'm enjoying training again. So it was definitely worth it there. So something to kind of really look at. One of the things that also, I had to kind of deal with, I've also thought, I don't care what other people think. I'm going to do what's right for me, But I was wrong. There is a stigma behind TRT out there in society. There were plenty of people when I brought up to them before, when I was thinking about this, and they'd be, oh, you don't need, oh, do this, you'll increase it, or, oh, just take supplements, or, oh, you don't need to do that. Steroids? Oh, if I were going to do, if I had to do it all over again, A, I would have done it 6 years ago. B, I wouldn't have talked to anybody except for my doctor. Or anybody who I knew was on TRT, which at that point, I don't know that there was anyone. Because there is such a connection for people to, testosterone, to, cheating in sports, which is whatever. That they can't let that bias go and go, guy's working with his doctor, there's probably a legit reason for this. So keep the conversation between you and your doctor. Nobody else needs to know if you never want them to. I've chosen to be kind of open with it. And it's been cool because I've been able to, kind of field some questions people had and hopefully help out a little bit there. Something I'd really like to hammer out, though, is if you are on testosterone replacement, are you a drug-free lifter? And I would say no. I would say it is dishonest to compete drug-free, to claim drug-free. While I have no qualms with my decision, and I wish I'd have made it earlier, I also understand that this is exogenous. And I'm okay with that. Believe me, the drug-free federations or whatever, they're not going to miss you. They don't even know your name. So do what's right for you. Compete where you're not cheating. And you're not cheating in an untested fed. You're not cheating if you're not calling yourself, drug tested or drug free. Because if you're on testosterone replacement, you are neither of those. Now, when it comes to, maybe you don't want to compete in untested federations because of all these people on these super cycles. I'll say this. There are probably far more people like me who are on replacement therapy or others who are on nothing. They just enjoy these federations or they enjoy competing with their friends. And those are the feds that they happen to kind of get into first, whatever. The majority aren't on these huge steroid cycles or advanced supplementation regimens. That's really not the reality. So I wouldn't get hung up on that at all. So let me see. So how do you get on testosterone replacement? Talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor, find a specialist, whatever that looks like for you. I would honestly steer clear from the internet forums where the greatest minds that have never had medical degrees hang out. Most of those pages seem to be run by people with a buck to make and filled with some of the biggest jackwagons you will ever deal with on the inner Facebook webs. So my 2 cents, work with your doctor, talk to your doctor about getting a blood test. You know what? If nothing else, it won't hurt to have the history, a blood draw with all those things, including your testosterone and free testosterone. That won't hurt down the line to have, kind of baselines. If they won't have a conversation, then that's going to be up to you. Is this doctor someone you're attached to? Or do you need to find another doctor that maybe you need to listen a little bit closer or open to new things? So, again, questions, reach out. I'll be glad to answer what I can. And I hope this helped anybody that may have had questions. Thanks.